Hey guys, welcome back to Shop Life. So this is a quick video on how I get road trip ready whenever I'm about to take a road trip, of course. So the next few days I'm going to be driving down to North Carolina again, and then a few weeks later I'll be driving right back. So pretty much I'm just going to go over everything that I've done and everything that I suggest that you take with you for any long road trip. Like long road trip I would consider, well for me a long road trip now is like anything over 18 hours. But for most people, I would say about 3 to 4 hours. I guess that's considered long enough. But anything like that, this is what I suggest you should do. So first things first, you want to make sure your car is maintained. If you know of anything that needs to be done, make sure you get it taken care of. A few things that you always want to make sure are good is your brake system, which I'll actually have a video on that as well, on how to check your brake system. You want to make sure that any fluids, all your fluids are good, so make sure your oil is changed. Make sure your transmission fluid's good, your power steering fluid, your coolant, all that stuff is good. You want to make sure that you know of any leaks that you may have. So I know most cars, if you're going to be taking a road trip, it's probably not going to be brand new. If it is, then you probably don't have much to worry about. Besides that, make sure you know what everything your car's leaking, oil-wise. So he's ready for the road trip, as you can tell. He's ready to go back in his seat and just sit down and ready to drive. Well, he's not going to drive, I'm going to be driving. He's ready to just be in my lap while I'm driving. Like you can see, he is ready to go.
He's trying to get up there.
Man, I didn't know you missed North Carolina that much. Alright. Well, we'll let him do his thing. But like as I was saying, fluids, make sure that's all good. Maintenance, make sure you don't have anything that's going to leave you stranded, such as like any misfire codes, vacuum leaks, stuff like that. Make sure all that's good. You want to make sure all your legal stuff is good. So insurance is good. Your plates are good, all that stuff. Another thing you want to make sure, this I think is probably the most important, is tires. Because if you're going on a road trip, you're more than likely going to be driving at least 70 miles an hour if you're conservative. So if you're driving around 70 miles per hour and you have a bad tire, you get a flat, or your tire blows out, you could be in the middle of nowhere, and then you're just waiting for nothing.
Help him out.
So make sure your tires are good. I can't stress that enough. That's the only thing that's between you and the ground, your tires. Make sure they're good. I just went and got a whole new set of tires from America's Tire, which is the same thing as Discount Tire back on the East Coast. And I pretty much got like a whole set of tires for like 380 bucks. And they have like 40,000 mile warranty. So they're good to go. One thing I suggest, if you have aftermarket wheels on your car, see if hopefully you still have your stock wheels. Stock wheels are usually smaller, they're gonna ride better, and you shouldn't have as many more problems. You might even get better miles per gallon. So make sure you have stock wheels, smaller tires, whatever you need for the car to make sure it handles properly. Another thing that's good to have is AAA, especially if you're in the United States. AAA, if you get stranded in the middle of nowhere at 3:15 in the morning, you'll call AAA. It might take them an hour or two, but they will be there. So if your car broke down, they could tow you to a near service center. They could take you to a hotel. Whatever you need them to do, they'll take care of you. So have AAA. It's not that expensive. Just pay for a whole year. Whatever you need to do, have AAA, especially if you're going to be making road trips quite often. So I'm going to go and show you guys what I have in case of an emergency in my car that I'm going to be taking for a road trip. Let's go and get started. All right, so one of the main reasons that we bought this Jetta wagon, at least, is because of the space. As you can see, it's very open. All these seats fold down, so if I need to bring any parts back with me or take anything down there, it's very easy for me to do so. But let me go and show you what I'm going to be taking with me. So as you can see right here, you want to make sure you have a spare tire. That always comes in handy, especially if you get a flat, like if you run over a nail or something. Make sure that spare tire has a good amount of tread, and make sure it is pumped up. This one is a little bit low on air, but it should be fine. You also want to make sure you have a jack that will jack the car up, and something for your lug bolts or lug nuts, and make sure that is the right size. Sometimes they give you a universal one, and you might need an adapter, especially if you have aftermarket wheels or anything like that. Make sure you have the proper size for your lugs. And the spare wheel, make sure all that stuff is good. Now, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the tools that I'm going to be taking. Alright, so I'm going to be taking a pair of jumper cables, just in case if my battery dies. That's another thing you want to check, is make sure your battery is good. I'm pretty sure mine is good, but I'm going to take them just in case. Next, I'm going to take a 1/4 inch socket set. Main reason for this is just in case if something goes wrong with the engine in terms of like a vacuum leak or something. This is very small, convenient, and gets into tight spaces really quickly. Next, I have a bigger socket set just in case if I need to get into something bigger. This will also work for my lug bolts, and anything suspension wise I should be able to take care of it with this socket set. Next, I have this adjustable crescent wrench. This is mainly for any bolts that I can't get a socket on or something like that. It's very quick, I can adjust it and I'm good to go. Now I have a pair of scissors, a pair of wire cutters, just in case I need them. Next, I have a hex set and a torque set. Main reason for this is Volkswagens use a lot of hex bolts and a lot of Torx bolts, so I'll have both of them. Now I've got a set of screwdrivers, a Phillips flat, and another smaller flat, just in case I need them. Now I've got a normal 3/8 inch wrench, socket wrench, for the 3/8 sockets that I have, and for the hex and Torx, all that will work with this. Next, I have an extension for the 1/4 inch drive, just in case I need to get into any hard to reach places. And lastly, I have this breaker bar for lugs, any suspension stuff I might run into. Now we have a set of pliers, just in case if anything goes wrong with the cooling system, I have to take off any clamps or anything like that. And last, the most important thing that you'll need is zip ties. This can pretty much fix anything on the road. If something was to go wrong, like something like your bumper broke off or something, you can zip tie it, cut it with the wire tie so nothing is scraping anywhere, you're good to go. So that's pretty much it for your road trip ready in terms of tools. Now let's go ahead and get some fluids. So I've got this Marvel's mystery oil, which I'll add to the gas. This is just what I had laying around the shop, but I actually recommend some kind of octane booster, or you could get like Techron or anything like that. Main reason for that is most places when you go on a road trip, they might not have the specific octane for your car. They might have something lower, or you might have to take like an emergency stop and just fill up gas at a small gas station, and they might not have good gas. So you want to have something like that, that way you could just add it to the gas and you'll be alright. Now I've got a gallon of distilled water. This is only a little bit. This is mainly for the cooling system, just in case if we get low on sometime during the trip, we have a little bit of backup. I'm not really going to put this in here for right now. And then we've got some oil. This is actually not for this car. This car actually takes 5W30 or 5W40, but you want to take at least a quart of oil with you, just in case if you start getting low when you're driving. You don't know if your car might burn oil on a long trip or something, so you might want some just extra oil. That way you can just fill it up and you don't have to pay twice as much at a gas station. One other thing you might want to take is a first aid kit, especially if you're going to be going camping or hiking or anything like that. Take a first aid kit just in case you need that on the road. Take a pair of gloves, so if you just need to check something quickly on the side of the road, you don't get your hands all dirty and then you don't have to touch the interior. Keep some kind of trash bags in your car to collect any of the trash so you don't make a mess in your car while you're driving. And besides that, I mean, everything else is just, if you need something specific for you, make sure you take that. Besides that, there's not really much else you need to take. Just make sure you're well rested, and if you start feeling if you start feeling sleepy at all, just pull over. Don't keep driving. So that's pretty much what I take on my road trips. I've got everything else checked out. I made sure this wagon, since we just bought it, like it's been about a week, I've done a lot of maintenance on it, and I know everything is good. I'm still gonna be taking actually a lot more tools than this, mainly because I do need to do more work back in North Carolina, but that's not to the point here. Besides that, just make sure your car tire's good, fluid's good. If you're leaking anything, make sure you know, and make sure you check every time you fill up gas. Make sure you take some kind of octane booster just in case you get bad gas, and any of your emergency tools. If you're not handy at all, just make sure you have AAA and make sure you have a spare that's filled up with air and with good tread. Preferably a full-size spare. So that's it for this video, guys. Let me go and put my bags in, and then I'm about to hit the road. Bye. And one more thing, make sure you have a safe trip, enjoy your trip. It's always about the journey, not the destination.